Hello, hello everyone. This is I am Sagar Shah, and I'm coming live from Mumbai at the sixth round of IIFL Wealth Under 13. It's really one of the most important rounds from the tournament standings perspective because we are already past
Hello
the
everyone,
halfway
this
mark,
is I am
and we
Sagar
already
Shah,
have a few people
and I'm
who
coming
are
live
here.
from Mumbai
Aryan Techno
at the
Gaming
sixth
says hello
round
Sagar
of
ji.
IIFL
Pranav
Wealth
V
Under
says good morning
13.
Sagar. First of all, a
It's
big thank
really
you
one
to
of the most
Pranav's father
important
Venkatesh
rounds
who
from
set
the
up
tournament
the
standings
live streaming
perspective
in the broadcast
because
room at the
we're already
IIFL
past. Hello
Wealth
everyone,
halfway
this
mark.
is I am
And we
Sagar
already
Shah,
have a few people
and I'm
who
coming
are
live
here
from
watching
Mumbai
Aryan Techno
at the
Gaming.
sixth
Says
round
hello
of
Sagar ji.
IIFL
Pranav
Wealth
V
Under
says good
13.
morning Sagar.
It's
First of all, a big
really one of the most
Pranav's father
important
Venkatesh
rounds
who
from
set
the
up
tournament
the
standings
live streaming
perspective
in the broadcast room at the
we're already
IIFL
past.
Wealth
Everyone,
halfway
this
mark.
is I am
And we
Sagar
already
Shah,
have a few people
and I'm
who
coming
are
live
here
from
watching
Mumbai
Aryan Techno
at the
Gaming.
sixth round of IIFL
Pranav
Wealth
joined
Under
us. Good
13.
morning, Sagar. First of all, a big
It's really one of the most
Pranav's father
important
Venkatesh
rounds
who
from
set
the
up
tournament standings
live streaming
perspective.
Aryan at the
Already
IIFL
follow
Wealth
everyone.
halfway
This
mark.
is I am
We
Sagar
already
Shah,
have a few people
and I'm
who
coming
would like to
live
know
from
if the
Mumbai
voice is clear
at the
to you.
sixth round of
Pranav
IIFL
Wealth
Wealth Under
somehow.
13.
Sagar, first of all, a big
It's really one of the most important rounds from the tournament standings perspective.
Aryan
Already follow everyone. This is I am Sagar Shah, and I'm coming live from Mumbai at the sixth round of IIFL Wealth Under 13. Really one of the most important rounds from the tournament standings perspective.
So is it now better or is it still echoing? Because if this is fine, then maybe we can get ahead with some analysis. If it is still echoing, maybe I have to find another way to make better. So is it now better? Waiting for your comments. Let me check. This is fine, then maybe we can get ahead with some analysis. If it is still echoing, maybe I have to find another way to make better. Okay, maybe this is the problem. Let me see if I can sort this out. Now, can you guys hear me well? This should have sorted off the problem. There's some really teething mistakes that I'm making in my live analysis. Is it sounding better? I'm waiting for your confirmation because if this is good, maybe we can move ahead. Yes, so Pragyan Techno Gaming says it's good now. Anubhav also says it's good. So great. Some issues have been sorted out. I'm very happy that we can now get ahead with some chess analysis. So first game of the day is going to be between Nikhil Magizan, who is black, and Aryan Varshne, who is white. Now, Aryan, I interviewed him yesterday, and he's the sole leader of the tournament right now with 5 out of 5. He's playing some excellent chess, and white. He's white in this game, and he begins with the G3 variation against the Queen's Indian, knight c3, and castle, and c5 was played by Nikhil. I am not so sure about this move. I mean, first of all, he's mixed up a few things like bishop b4 check over here, bishop d2, bishop e7, bishop b7. Why to provoke the bishop? I mean, the main line, if you know, this line is bishop b7, bishop g2, and then they play bishop e7, castle, knight c3, knight e4, and bishop d2. So white plays the move bishop d2, whereas in this case what Nikhil has done is he's provoked bishop d2 and then gone to this position. And so then knight e4 makes no sense, because in a way bishop d2 is a free move that you have granted to your opponent. Instead, black went for the move c5, and here is where I think Aryan went for a nice move, which is d5. And the point is, if you take ed, I will go knight h4. I think this is what Aryan is trying to achieve here. The knight is looking at the f5 square, and c into d5 becomes possible. Also knight into d5, and overall I would say that white is already having a very pleasant position out of the opening. So d5 by Aryan, I think, was a very nice move. Definitely he is the one who will be pushing here. If he gets to 6 out of 6, I think he will be one of the favorites in this tournament. So it will be a game to wait and watch for. So let's move on to the second board now. This is the game between Pranesh, who's white, and Gukesh, who's black. So let's get the moves first. I have a great opinion about both of these players. I saw them recently at the under-11 championships in Pune. We all know about Gukesh, a very big talent, and Pranesh also playing really well. He was also joined first at the under-11 nationals, which Gukesh won. So white is Pranesh, and he goes for the move b3. Swag Anna says, can we have Tarun Karnya Marla in the studio later and Parham in the evening? Swag Anna, today we are going to listen to you. We are going to try our best to get Parham in. Also Tarun, if he is available, we'll try to get him in. b3 was played by Pranesh. Gukesh answered with d5, bishop b2, bishop g4. You know, my personal favorite against such b3 systems is to go c5, knight f3, knight c6, e3, knight f6. The point is, you just develop your pieces, and after bishop b5 to go e6. If your opponent goes knight e5, then queen c7, castles, bishop d6, and mostly they take and play f4. But this position, if you study it well, I think black is doing perfectly fine. He will go either knight d7 or knight e8 and push the knight away with f6. So I think this is something to try out if you are watching. I mean, if someone plays b3 against you at some point. Bishop g4 was played by Gukesh, bishop h5, and now knight to f3. And Gukesh took the knight on f3, a very interesting decision. I think both recaptures should be fine for white, even e into f3. This seems very anti-intuitive to take the knight on f3, but what Gukesh wants to do is spoil the structure for white, and then put his pawns most probably something like e6, c6, and then his other bishop is pretty good. This can be one of his ideas, but let's have a look. What he has done is created such an imbalance here that the superior player will come out on top, and this is something very nice, because Gukesh backs himself that he can play better than his opponents. While let's say if Pranesh is able to hold on, so after e3, knight f6, d3 was played. g6, I like this move. Mainly you're going to put your bishop on g7, and also rook on g1 won't be attacking the g7 pawn later. So knight d2, bishop to g7, f4. White is trying to plonk his knight to e5, c5 was played, bg2, knight c6, castles, rook c8, rook e1, castles. So very nice, interesting position that we have on cards. I have a feeling that black is doing perfectly fine here, for two reasons. One is that he is sooner or later going to exchange off this bishop by playing either knight h5 or knight d7, and when these two bishops are exchanged, uh, the queen could be jumping into h4 at some point. Overall, I have a feeling that black is doing fine. I mean, white, in order to do something, has to play either e4 or c4 or something like this, and it will create some weaknesses in his position like d3. So it seems like Gukesh is doing well. Yeah. So Swag Anna says, what is the quality you have observed in all top players other than their work ethic that makes them so strong? Well, I think that one of the main things that top players do so well is uh, they love chess, and they're always working on chess. This is so very important because I've seen guys like Anish Giri, and when you ask them what are you doing in your free time, they say I'm seeing chess. So this is one of the things, as you say, work ethic is definitely one of the most important things. Apart from that, I would say a very quick eye. Like if you give a position to a top player, they can instantly sense the key moments of the position, rather than taking a lot of time. Like many people would see the different things that are happening in the position and then try to come to a conclusion, while a top player just instantly senses that this is the right move. So this is one of the things that I find. If a player, you give him a position and he can get the right idea immediately, he is very talented. This I saw when I went to Prag's house, Pragnananda's house, a few months ago, and I did a show with him, and I gave him these different positions to solve. He could solve them really really quickly because he could sense the right thing that was required in the position. Omkar Chakradev says it's very hard to understand GF captures in Trompowsky, also some Karokans. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I personally think that GF is much more ambitious than EF. For example, after d4, knight f6, bishop g5, d5, if white takes bishop f6, here GF is much more ambitious than taking EF, because when you take EF, you are developing a piece like this, but you are also capturing away from the center. When you capture away from the center, it means you are reducing the dynamic possibilities in the position. Therefore, if you look at even the Karo Khan, after e4, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, de, knight e4, knight f6, here knight into f6, ef6 is considered much more solid and dull, boring type of a position than gf6. I mean, gf6 is very interesting because you get rook g8 and stuff like this. So in a way, when Pranesh over here took with gf3, it showed his ambition. He wants to fight. It's not like he took e into f3 and he wants to stay solid. Even this, I think, is a very good move here for white. Okay, so moving on, let's go to the game 3. Yeah, Shell Mishra says it's very nice to see top seeds games. Yes, of course, these are the future stars of Indian chess. Joyson D'Souza, why not do a live commentary for the full match? It's sad India doesn't cover live telecast of chess matches with live commentary. Well, it's going to change very soon. We are going to do live here. Yesterday, I met Bharat Singh Chauhan, who is the secretary of AICF, and maybe we are going to do this at the Delhi Open as well. So it's gaining momentum. We are going to improve the feed. As you can see today, we have the names of the players being shown. That was the feedback I received yesterday, that when you are analyzing a specific game, there is no name of the player shown. So we tried to improve. So please send us your suggestions. We are waiting here every day to get better and better. And now let's move on to the next game. This is the one between Ashutosh Banerjee, who's white, and Pranav V, who's black. Ashutosh is someone I have not really met before, not heard of him much as well. Pranav, of course, winner of IIFL 2 years ago. Very talented kid. Also, he beat, if I'm not mistaken, Salem Saleh, 2650 plus GM when the boy was just 10 years old. So that's really a fantastic feat by Pranav. So let's have a look at this game. What happened? D4, knight f6, knight f3 was, sorry, c4 was played by Ashutosh. Ashutosh Banerjee over here is with the playing with the white pieces. Pranav V went e6, knight c3, bishop b4, e3, castle, knight g2. This is one of those lines which I like very much from white side. I used to play e3 and then put my knight on ge2, then play a3, and I used to be very happy if black would capture here and I would get this perfect pawn structure in the Nimzo Indian. But soon I started to understand that things are not so simple. If black would go back with his bishop, like for example a move like d5, a3, bishop e7, and then the knights are just treading on each other's feet, and I then started to prefer more natural development with knight f3. It's just a matter of taste. You can try out different things and understand what you are enjoying as time progresses. So now knight ge2, as was played by Ashutosh, Pranav went for this hyper modern move rook e8. And I think that d5 is definitely very good, but rook e8 is not so bad. The idea is that you are freeing the f8 square for your bishop. If the bishop goes back to f8 and you have kept your pawns still, moved none of your pawns, it gives you the flexibility to go for d5 or for d6 e5. So Pranav definitely has these plans in mind. It's also mentioned in this book by Royce for Nimzo Indian, by Quality Chess, this move rook e8. So it's gaining popularity. a3, bishop f8, knight went to g3. This seems normal to develop the bishop now. d5, bishop e2, b6. I like black's play also. He's playing very normal. He's going to get his bishop to b7, knight to d7, put his pawn to c5. So he's going to have a good position there. After castle, bishop b7, cd, ed, you had the move b4. a5 looks good. The point is that either white has to go b5 here, which is not really something that he wants to do for now. It's possible, or he has to play rook b1, which he did in the game. And after ab, we get this interesting position which is a bit like qgd, just that the knight on g3, I am not really sure what it's doing. Also the bishop on c1 is a little bit passive. So g6 was a interesting move by Pranav. He is limiting the knight scope to f5, and maybe later he wants to put his bishop on h6. So all in all, it looks like black is doing perfectly okay over here. Of course, white having the first move is by no means worse, but it also means that he has not really taken advantage in any way. So I'm feeling that black should be having a fine position out of the opening. He should be happy. That's my general belief. Dagonia Steve says, What is your advice to improve in endgames? Uh, well, there are a lot of books that you can read first of all, and my suggestion is surely Stillman's Endgame course, a nice book if you know nothing much. Then there is 100 Endgames You Should Know by Jesus de la Villa. It's a nice book. There is a 1 to 14 DVD series by Chess Base done by Karsten Mueller, who's an Endgame expert. I would definitely recommend that. And apart from that, you have Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual, which you can never, forget. Like that's one of the most important Endgame books ever written. So these are a few things that you can do. Apart from that, which I would recommend is take a position which is complicated in any famous endgame. Like right now, for me, the first endgame that comes to my mind is Capablanca versus Tartakover. Very famous endgame. I know. I'm sure you guys must have seen that, where White gives up 2 3 pawns, gets his king inside, and play it out. When you play something, you understand what's going on. So, okay. Swag Anna asks me, do you want anyone in particular to win the candidates? Tough question. Well, maybe Wesley so. Yeah, he's a good friend and I hope that he's able to win. There was one question, very interesting one by Swag Anna, who says, can you go h4, h5 here? A very interesting point, because White definitely has his pieces set up to go h4 h5, but let's imagine that I develop, okay, you go h5 and then I make another, say, move. I don't know, maybe try to play, I can't play c5 immediately because there is this latent sort of an attack here. But for example, let me say I go bishop to g7, you take. What have you exactly gained from this? I don't really understand, because none of your pieces are going to get into the attack. And that's the problem. Like, you have been able to open black's king side a bit, but if the rook were on h1, it would have made some sense. If the bishop were on d3, queen coming out somehow, then there could have been some attack. But here I don't see h4 h5 as a very good plan. I think White has to remain very solid. Try for something like bishop d2. Try to just stay solid. He's not worse, so that's fine. Now let's try to look at the fourth board game, which is Anuj Srihari, who is one of Madhya Pradesh's biggest talents, who is black, against Srihari LR. I think both of them are really very talented players. So let's try to have a look at this position which these guys have reached on the board. It has come from King's Indian. Let me just change the names of the players. Srihari LR is playing white against Anuj Srihari. Anuj was rated something around 1700 or so and 1800, but he has recently pushed up to 2150. So let's not go through the opening moves. This is the position right now in front of you. White has got a few things going his way. First of all, knight on d4. This is a great place for the knight to be. It's looking at the c6 square. Also, I don't know, something has gone wrong. Bishop is so beautifully placed here. So perhaps something did go wrong for Anuj in the opening. That's what I can see. Or maybe he might be thinking of playing knight to c5 at this point, attacking the pawn on e4. You have to be careful of many tricks here. For example, if I go rook e1, this is something Uh, it's possible. Bishop d7 might be possible here. I like the fact that white has got his knight here, which is really a good piece, and also the bishop here. These are the two things that I like very much in this position. Swag Anna says Srihari beat Swayam's Mishra in the open. Wow, that's really, that means this boy is really talented. Swayams has 3 GM norms, very close to becoming a grandmaster. And if this young lad did beat him, he's one to watch out for. Here also, I have a feeling that white is doing very well. If I were white here, I would have maybe put my bishop back to h2 now, and then really aimed for f4 e5. I think this is what white should be doing here. Also, this knight being on d4 is really always looking at this square. What should black do is a good question actually, because after this maybe his main plan is a5 b4. Right now b5 is hanging, so maybe rook b8, f4, a5. Somehow I think white is faster in this race. So something interesting. Yeah, I mean very interesting position on the board. That's what happens in the Benoni type of structure. You get black is taking a lot of risks for this queen side play. White can just run him over in the center. So I predict a nice complex game here. One of the questions we received is what is Pragnananda doing right now, by Avijit and Anubhav Balodi Columbus, who says will Prag be able to get other GM norms. Pragnananda is currently playing at the Rilton Cup in Sweden. And yesterday, I mean, he was doing pretty well. He was on, if I'm not wrong, 4.5 out of 6. And then he lost yesterday to a 2470 player, which I think ruined his chances in some way for the GM norm, because otherwise he was on track. And for his second GM norm, if I can just pull up his results right now, yeah, that's what I have in front of me. He's on 4 points out of 6 right now, and he has a rating performance of 2511, because he did beat a 2388 player, a 2340 player. As per what Amruta told me yesterday, he needed 2 out of 3. He lost the 7th round, so he now needs 2 out of 2, I think, to make a GM norm. So it would be interesting. Today he's playing an FM from Australia, Liu Yi. But also very interesting to see is Nihal Sarin, because he's playing over there and he is currently on 4.5 out of 6. He lost the first round, mind you, against a 2268 player, but then he beat John Ludwig Hammer, a very strong Norwegian number 2, yeah, and then he drew with Sasikiran Krishnan yesterday. This young lad is truly becoming into a powerhouse, Nihal Sarin. He has a performance of 2558, and you know, he might well make his second GM norm. You know, this is a high possibility. The fifth board is between Rohit Krishna S and Zia Tehseen Tajwar, and Rohit Krishna is currently a very strong Indian youngster, and Zia Tehseen, if I am not mistaken, is the son of Ziaur Rahman, who is Bangladesh's top grandmaster. I was talking to Ziaur Rahman before the tournament, and he told me that that he was Bangladesh chess is not really producing great talents like India because of the lack of tournaments, and definitely this Muhammad Fahad is one of the top talents of the country. He's 2250. He also beat Ziaur Rahman in the nationals recently. So very strong young talent. And then his son is also doing well. Mohammad, his name is Zia Tehseen Tajwar. So let's have a look at this game. White is Rohit Krishna. He plays the fianchetto variation against the King's Indian. C6 bishop f5. This is possible and a nice move. And after that, b3 was played. I had tried once the move. Yeah, b3 I have played once. I have a feeling also possible is knight to e1, because you don't want the knight to jump to e4. So that's one possibility, knight e1. But b3 was played, knight e4, bishop b2. This is all normal stuff. Take, bishop e4. This is the point. I think Zia has good knowledge in this. He's put his bishop on e4 after removing the knight from c3. E3, knight d7, queen e2. I like Rohit Krishna's plans. He's playing solidly, and after queen c7, bishop h3, nice move. The point is that now you would like to play something like knight h4 and then corner this bishop with f3, so that you have got this bishop out first of all. Also knight d2 is a possibility. And then black had to give up his bishop pair, and after rook a d8, queen e2, e5. I have a feeling that somehow white is doing well here because he has the bishop pair. Rook f e1, f5, queen b2, e4, b4. Starting the play on the queen side, b6, a4, g5 was played. Rook a c1. Perhaps also interesting was the move a5, but then you have to consider something like b5 in this position. So not so easy. Omkar Chakradev asks, do you play online chess? Some chess players, including Hikaru Eric, can play online for so much time. I can't play every game seriously. Is that good or bad? Well, in some of my lectures that I have given, I have said how should you play online chess. The thing is, you must try to play online, and at the same time after the game is over, analyze them. So if you are playing on Play Chess, and if you are a chess-based account user, then all the games that you play are directly saved in the cloud. Once that happens, you must analyze them, and when you are analyzing your games, you kind of realize your mistakes, and this really helps you to become a better player. So I definitely think that playing online is good if you are able to make use of these games. In any case, it improves your eyesight if you play very seriously. But that's the problem with me as well. I could never play online chess seriously because there was nothing much at stake. And then when I started analyzing my mistakes after every game, I started getting very serious because you see that you're making so many errors. You're making a mistake here, you're making a mistake there, and you don't really want to keep doing that all the time. So I would suggest analyzing your blitz games is a good way to bring seriousness into your play. Getting back to the game, rook a c1 by Rohit Krishna, queen b7, queen e2, and g4. So as you can see, after something like, let's say, bishop f1, this is going to be a very tough position for black to hold. He has shut down his play on the king side in many ways, and now he's just going to wait for white as to where white is going to strike. White can go a5 sometimes, b5, c5, d5, anything is possible. I don't think that this position is really good for black. I mean, you could get h5, h4, but that's all that is happening. So Rohit Krishna definitely on the better side of equality here. Swag Anna asks, what's the rating requirement for understanding Jakob Agard's books? Depends on which book you are reading. If you are reading his part 2 of Grandmaster Preparation series, which is positional play, then I would say it's very good even if you are a weak player. I mean, even if you are 1200 or above, a positional play is a very nice book. If you're looking for part 3, which is strategic play, then there is attack and defense. After that, endgame play, thinking inside the box is somehow different, but somehow these 3 books, strategic play, attack and defense, and endgame play, they are very high level. I would say you need a minimum rating of something like 1600 to 1800 to start using them. I really liked his book, which was what is this? Where he gave very tough position defense related book, defense manual or something. It was beautifully written by Jakob. Some 200 positions in there, very nicely done. Script Bullet says Yash Raj of Indian Chess. Well, that's a compliment, I think. First off, thanks for all your videos and interviews in Chess Base India. Thank you so much for watching all of them. Sashi247 says, I have been losing consistently from winning positions recently. How to avoid it? Is it a psychological thing? I was giving a lecture recently in Bhopal, and I said, when I used to call my parents after the game, I would say in Gujarati, which is Jitta Jitta Hari Gyo, which means I was winning and I lost. And I started to say that so regularly that I didn't have to finish my sentence in the later when I used to call, when I would say Jitta, they would finish the sentence saying yeah Jitta Jitta Hari. So it's very common for chess players to lose from winning positions. The way to solve it, and the way I actually had been working, is to stop thinking during a game that you are winning. If you can maintain your composure, if you can just look at the next move, what is the best move in the position, if you can do these things correctly, then I think it would not be very difficult to convert winning positions. But if you start thinking like, wow, if I win, I will be at the top board tomorrow, a lot of people are going to see my games, I might win the best game of the day prize. If all these thoughts start coming into your head, then I'm sure you will start making mistakes. So first thing is to develop this discipline on the board that you don't want to think about the result. You just want to think about the next move, the best move in the position. If you do this, I think slowly and steadily you will start winning your games. Once that happens, your confidence level rises, and you make less mistakes in winning positions. It's a process which every chess player has to go through, so don't worry, it's not something that you are not on the right track or something. The next game that we look at is Tanmay Jain, who is black, against Divya Deshmukh. Divya has been a little bit off color in this tournament. She is definitely one of India's biggest talents. I personally find the girl to be amazing, so confident. She is, recently when I interviewed her, she was like counting the number of times she had won the national, world, and Asian titles, and she did miss out on one title. It's so like, if you ask me which other tournaments I have won, I know them on the finger of my hand. I won this, I won this. But this girl who's just 12 years old, she doesn't even remember the tournaments that she has won. So that's the kind of talent she is. So she's playing against Tanmay Jain, boy from Punjab, and the game began. Divya is white. The game began as a Sicilian, and she took on d4 with the queen. Interesting. Knight c6, bishop b5, and you take here. Now, we are often told that don't give your bishops up for the knights. Bishops are supposed to be much more powerful. However, sometimes you can give them up if you are getting a lead in development. So in this case, Divya is getting a short lead in development. After, you can see knight c3, she has three of her pieces developed. She's going to castle soon, maybe here, or she might put a bishop out and castle queen side. So that's why she's given up her bishop. At the same time, for black, it's not going to be very easy to develop all his pieces. So knight f6, bishop g5, e6, long castle, bishop e7. Here, something like bishop into f6, queen into d6 doesn't really work, because then I have a feeling that queen a5 is a possibility, or perhaps bishop into c3 first. This looks much better. B into c3, queen d6, rook d6, bishop e4, and then black gets a fine position. So here e5 was played by Divya, de, queen e5. Now the queen is attacked, queen c8, and knight went to d4. So black castle. I like black's player. He's playing very solidly. And now came knight f5. That's a nice move actually. Now you're looking at taking this bishop. Also some sacrifices here. Wow. So ef, queen e7, and black went knight e4. She took bishop e4. There's a mate on c2. Don't forget about it. Rook d2. We have this opposite colored bishop scenario, and after queen c4, king b1 was played. Wow, this is interesting. I'm not really sure who's better here. Suddenly it seems like black is the one who's calling the shots. You can see the rook might move to c8 very soon. Put pressure here. G2 pawn is under attack. Of course, I don't want to win it because it might open a line over here, but it's still under pressure. Bishop d5 is some move that you should be looking at. Interesting stuff going on in this game, I would say. Yeah, most natural would be rook c8 for sure, to put pressure here, and then Divya might have to go for something like rook c1. But if you have to make such defensive moves, it already means that your opponent is better. So nice play by Tanmay Jain, who's able to really put pressure on Divya. As Swaganna says, isn't black better? Yeah, it seems so. I mean, knight f5 and all looked so natural, and now suddenly Tanmay is the one who's putting pressure on his opponent. It's a very interesting play. I mean, yeah, queen into e7, knight e4. Maybe knight f5 was not such a good idea. You should have just taken here, but then black has no real problems. Knight f5, ef, queen e7, knight e4, and yeah. So good play by black. I think we had a good opening session today. We looked at 6 games, top 6 boards, and really it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Omkar says, why long castle? I like to play c4 instead of nc3 and b3, bishop b2. Yeah, possible. I mean, you know this line, right? e4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5, and then you take and play c4. It gives white a very nice Maroczy positions. I like it very much. So maybe this is something similar that you are looking for. It's small edge for white, and yeah. So, guys, thanks a lot for joining in. We did a 45 minute streaming. Um, I hope that you were able to learn something from this session. Uh, I would now, go to the venue. Actually, I'm right now at my place in Mumbai. I'll go to the venue and watch the games live, and then maybe bring you updates once again. Script Bullet had been asking, I have been trying to find an online chess coach. How would I go about finding the right coach for me? Well, I'll try to see if I can find someone who's right and mail you on the email address that you have shared. Um, and well, that's all that we have for now. Thanks all, and see you in some time.